The gentlewoman from Colorado, Ms. Boebert, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's just come out swinging. Democrats in Congress are a joke. Leftist policies have led to an invasion at our southern border, massive inflation, historically high gas prices, and so much more. I serve on the Natural Resources Committee. We can't even talk about energy production in the Natural Resource Committee when we have jurisdiction over this self-imposed crisis from the Biden regime and frankly from the Natural Resource Committee for not taking up issues on that. But what do these politicians turn to when they realize November is looking like a massive red wave? They turn to the children. Let's ignore our failed policies and talk about spending more money, and let's say it's for children so people will be okay with it. This is disingenuous, and the American people see right through this. You want to support Americans' children? How about we reduce spending and curb inflation so our families can afford new shoes for when our children go to school? Let's implement school choice. Teach our children to love America. Teach them our values that we were founded on instead of squashing those and lying about them. Let's empower parents instead of calling them domestic terrorists when they show up and have an opinion or a question about what their child is being taught in our schools. But this hearing is about Democrats' desire to spend more money that we don't have. Frankly, just printing money at this point. Let's take a look at the track record of how their spending agenda has worked so far. 9.1% inflation, and one of my most favorite, seemingly prophetic publications, the Babylon Bee, says that that decimal point may be in the wrong place. It might be actually 91% inflation. Energy is at 60.6% inflation, and fuel oil is at 98.5% inflation. The average American family with 2 working parents has lost $6,800 in annual income since Joe Biden took office. And yet, all leftists on this committee and throughout Congress want to do is spend money and pretend to be handcuffed for attention. Speaker Gingrich, I have a question for you. Under your leadership, Congress passed welfare reform, the first balanced budget amendment in a generation, and the first tax cut in 16 years. Under Pelosi and Joe Biden, inflation and interest rates are up while wages are down. Now, Mr. Speaker, do you believe that these Democrat policies will make it more or less likely for our children and families who will experience a recession in the near future?
Well, look, I think it's pretty clear that, and it's sort of an irony in terms of this particular hearing, that the very policies of inflation, extraordinarily high gasoline and diesel fuel prices, rising cost of food, all of these policies are going to drive more children into poverty. The objective fact is that the policies that the Biden, Pelosi, Schumer team have followed don't work. I just recently wrote a book called Defeating Big Government Socialism, in which I outlined that these aren't accidents. These are policies. They believe in high gasoline prices. They believe in high diesel fuel prices, high heating oil prices. They oppose the American oil industry and the American gas industry. That's why Biden won't go to Texas or Oklahoma or your state of Colorado or Western Pennsylvania, but he will go to Saudi Arabia. It's crazy. So if you really want to deal with children in poverty, get the economy growing, stop the inflation, cut taxes, make sure people have take-home pay. I mean, you're exactly right. I thought actually you're being pretty darn effective just now. This is an impossible situation for the left to deal with. And I can tell you, having lived through the Carter years and watched Carter's presidency disintegrate under the combination of a recession and inflation and energy crisis, Reagan beat Carter by the biggest electoral vote margin of any incumbent president in modern history. And in the process, we won the Senate for the first time since 1954. This year, I think the American people are going to walk in that ballot box and they're going to say, I really want more of this. And if you really want to care about children, you have to make sure that children's families have enough money that they can afford to have a decent life, that they can afford to do the things necessary. And frankly, it's disappointing to have a hearing like this and not confront how much government itself has been the problem. But thank you for asking me.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, my time has expired. Thank you so much.
Gentleman's time has expired, and now